Terence, and welcome to this tutorial for the board game Inish. In my experience so far, this is either a game you'll love or that will make you go meh. Personally, I love it, mostly because of its originality. Let's get to it. You are going to keep playing until one of the players meets one of the three winning conditions while having one of these. I'll start telling and showing you the winning conditions. The first way you can win the game is be present in at least 6 territories. So, this is me. Let's pretend I'm here and so on. Alright, I've got at least one of my pieces present in 6 different territories. If it's like this at the start of the round, and I've got one of these, I win the game. Next, the second way to win the game is to be in charge of at least 6 other players. So, let's pretend I've got 4 of my pieces here, and there are 3 pieces of another player. And in this land, I've got 3 of my pieces. There's 2 of another player and 1 of a third player. I'm in charge here, and that's simply because I've got the most pieces there. I've got 4, she's got 3. I'm the boss. And here, I've got 3, she's got 2, and he's only got 1. I'm also the boss here. That means I'm the boss of at least 6 other pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If it's like this at the start of the round, and I've got one of these, I win the game. And the last one is using these things. They're called sanctuaries. You win the game if you're present with 6 sanctuaries. Let me show you. There's 2 sanctuaries here, and I'm here as well. Then over here there are 3 sanctuaries, and I'm also here in the same land. And in this one there's 1 sanctuary, and of course me. So, since I'm here, and here, I'm now present with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sanctuaries. If this is how it is at the start of the round, and I've got one of these, I win the game. How do you get one of these, by the way? It's so simple, I can tell you right now. During the game, when it's your turn, you take one. And that's the end of your turn. That's all. Just use one of your turns to take one of these. The only thing that makes that dangerous is that now all the other players know you're trying to win the game. So, take this when it's your turn. And you win the game if you meet one of the 3 winning conditions. That's either be present in 6 different territories, be the boss of at least 6 other pieces of other players, or be present near a total of at least 6 sanctuaries. That's already a lot to remember. You know you're always allowed to peek in the rulebook. Next thing to explain, what is a round? That's sort of easy because it's written on this helpful sheet that you can keep with you for the whole game. First do some setup things. Then you get cards, and then you use those cards to play until everyone has passed. I'll get into it more in a moment, but for now, a round is setup stuff, get cards, and play cards. The setup stuff is all written on the sheet step by step, so I'm skipping that. How getting your cards works is more complicated, so let's jump straight into that one. It's called drafting. Maybe you're familiar with that from other games. This is how it goes. The first player deals out cards to everyone. You look at all your cards, then you have to choose one card to keep and give the rest to the player next to you. And the player on your other side will be handing you some cards. In other words, you pass them around. You choose one and you pass the rest. And now you do the same. Look at the cards that were just given to you. You choose one and put that one on top of the other one that you set aside for yourself in the first go. And you pass the ones that you didn't choose to the player next to you. You'll get some cards from the player on the other side, and this is called drafting. You keep doing this until there are no more cards to pass to the other player. In short, you get cards, you choose one to keep and pass on the rest. Keep going until there's nothing left to pass. And that's the end of this part of the round. All there's left is playing the game using the cards that you chose during drafting. What do you do when it's your turn? Well, as I've said, you can use one of your turns to take this token when you think you might win the game this round. So that's one thing. If you don't win the game, you put the crown back into the supply at the end of the round. The next thing you can do is pass, so you do nothing. But that doesn't mean you are out of the round, because if at least one other player does not pass, you can rejoin the game when it's your turn. The round is only over when all players have passed. Let me repeat that. When it's your turn, you can grab one of these, or you can pass. Then, the last thing you can do when it's your turn, play a card. You've got the cards that you chose to keep during drafting. And that's what you have to work with this round. I'm not going to explain every card. The card itself will tell you exactly what it does for you. The only thing I'll tell you is this symbol means you play this card as an action. This symbol means you can play this card as a reaction to something another player does. And this symbol means if you want, you can start a battle. Again, this one means it's an action, this one is a reaction to another player, and this one is start a battle if you want. A little recap: when it's your turn, pass, or take a crown, or play one of your cards. So the only thing left for me to do is explain a battle. Before I do that, 3 side items I'd like to mention. 1. You might see the term epic card somewhere. That means these. These are epic cards. They're basically bonus cards. They're helpful. It's nice to have them. 2. We have these things on the table as well. What are they for? Well, hopefully you remember how to win the game. There are 3 ways to win the game, yes? And all 3 ways involved something with the number 6. Like be in 6 territories, be the boss of 6 other players, and be present with 6 sanctuaries. If you've got one of these, you'll only need that number to be 5. Not 6, but 5. If you've got 2 of these, you can bring that number down to 4. 4 territories, 4 sanctuaries, and so on. So these lower the demands for you to win the game. And the third thing I'd like to mention on the side, when you're the boss of one particular territory, then at the start of the round you'll get a card with the same name of that territory on it. All of those cards will have some sort of advantage on them. Whenever you choose to use that advantage, you flip over the card to indicate you've used it for this round. And if you're still in charge of that same territory in the next round, you keep it and flip it back over. So, this is an epic card. This brings down the number for a winning condition. And when you're the boss of a territory, you get these cards that you can use once per round. circling back to the last thing I have to explain to you. How do you do battle? You're in luck. If you look at the helpful sheet you have with you, you'll see that battling is written out step by step. So, first the player who last played a card must decide whether or not there's going to be a battle. You can choose not to battle, but if you do, say that you initiate a battle. They call it a clash. Then, if there are any of these in the space where you're going to fight, the first player who is defending gets the option to retreat one of the pieces. That just means hiding during the battle and coming back out when it's all over. Then the next player gets to retreat if possible. You keep going until all the spaces are filled up or no one wants to retreat anything. That's the first step. Who wants to retreat? And the next step is fighting. It sounds more violent than it really is. It's just a game after all. The player who initiated attacks first. That means do nothing. If you attack, you do nothing. It's the player who has to defend who has to do something. There's two things you can do. You can remove one of your pieces from the board. Or you can defend yourself by discarding one of the action cards from your hand. That's it. Either remove one of your pieces or discard an action card. Then the next player gets to attack. Before you attack, you can ask everyone, do they want peace? Stop this battle. If they do, the battle is over. Check the rule book for what you do then. If not everyone wants peace, you keep going. If you attack, you do nothing. In case you're fighting with multiple players, then you do at least have to say which player you are attacking. And then the other player has to remove either a piece or discard a card. Remember that you can have cards in your hand that can help you during a battle. Don't worry, it's all written on the card. That's all. That is how you play Inish. Start with the setup phase, then you do that drafting where you go around giving each other cards, and finally you play around using those cards. Look at the helpful sheet if you need to, and check the rulebook as well if you want. Don't forget what the 3 winning conditions are and that you have to take a crown. Without the crown in your possession, you can't win the game. I hope you feel you know roughly how to play a game of Inish. Whether or not you'll win, that's a different matter, as long as you have a sense of that you know what to do. I've done my job. Give it a try, and I hope your review will be love it instead of meh. Feel free to let me know in the comments section. As always, thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.